water was rising and swamping the lower level of the hotel.
The storm surge came in and basically totally inundated the ground floor. People freaking out, trapped in their ground floor rooms, who had to be rescued. People smashing windows to try and get out of their hotel rooms.
And that's when the cameras had to be dropped. The CNN crew I was with had to get into the water, and the team members I was with as well. You know, it was time to stop documenting the storm and get into rescue mode. As soon as the winds had died down and I felt it was safe enough to venture into the street, I went straight down to the waterfront, and I just felt like I was in a tsunami zone. The damage was absolutely devastating. There were people just sifting through the rubble, looking for any belongings which remained in their destroyed houses. Unfortunately, there were bodies being removed from the debris. It was really just this apocalyptic scene.
An apocalyptic scene after the storm passed. Christy Lusat got the chance to talk to James Reynolds there about that experience, and he described how this typhoon compared to other disasters he's witnessed.
I'd seen tsunami aftermath before, and it was very, very similar. People were pulling bodies out of the rubble. I saw one elderly gentleman who had half of his ear ripped off. It was just horrendous scenes. And I can only imagine what these people are still suffering and going through, you know, 3-4 days after the disaster.
Well, the United Arab Emirates has a huge population of Filipino migrants, many of whom have friends and family in the disaster zone, and some, I should say, are still waiting for word from their loved ones, even after the storm of 3 days. Now, others have already received news that they're struggling to understand and comprehend and take in. Here's Leonie Lacani with more.
Tan-Yee Bono is gripped with pain and grief.
For almost, I think, 4 days, 3 days, I don't know. I cannot sleep well.
Typhoon Haiyan ravaged her home in Tacloban, where 10 of her family members lived. Only one is accounted for. Among the missing are her mother and 2 daughters, 8-year-old Renzi and 22-year-old Rian.
My last communication with my eldest is Friday, 1 o'clock. He said, "Mommy, I'm so scared because the wind is so strong."
Tan-Yee has only been in the UAE for 6 months, but she's now at her embassy preparing to leave the country and head back.
I will go home just to find my 2 kids.
Like Tan-Yee, many others are coming to the embassy in search of answers. The embassy says it's been overwhelmed by queries, people searching for their loved ones, and they've stuck a list of survivors right on the main gate, but it's only about 2 pages long, by no means complete, and many others unaccounted for. The embassy says it's in crisis mode, setting up call centers and donation lines for those trying to help the recovery efforts.
We're facilitating the documents that are needed by our kababayans, we call them compatriots who need help, and everyone is just aware. Phone calls, email, everyone is connecting to help back home. We've been through this before, but this is just catastrophic.
A catastrophe shared by many of the Filipinos here. The UAE is home to more than 500,000 Filipinos, one of the largest Filipino expat communities outside the country. More than 10 million Filipinos live overseas. They go in search of work, sending money home to their loved ones.
We know that we are sending back home our workers $21 to $24 billion.
The embassy says donations from the international Filipino community are starting to filter in. But for people like Tan-Yee, all that matters is her family back home. Leonie Lacani, CNN, Abu Dhabi.
Well, people across the Philippines and their relatives around the world have been turning to social media, hoping to reconnect. And Samuel Beck joining me now in the studio. And Samuel, it's important to remember